700,000 earn the award. But if you do, you too can say,
I'm a winner. I'm a winner.
Ask your teacher about it, or write fitness, Washington, D.C. 20201.
You're watching Channel 17, WTVO Rockford.
Carson will be seen in its entirety 20 minutes from now, immediately following this program from NBC News. This is an NBC News special report, the rescue of General Dozier. Here is NBC News correspondent Tom Brokaw.
Good evening. General James Dozier should be awake soon, if he isn't already. The first morning in more than a month that he hasn't faced death at the hands of his Red Brigade's captors in Italy. The general was rescued this morning, a little heavier, certainly with more hair, but still relatively unharmed. It was a surprise, happy ending to a story that almost everyone thought would end tragically with the general's death. That was a private fear from day one.
It was December 17th when terrorists, disguised as plumbers, dragged the general from his apartment in Verona. Apparently, they drove him straight to the apartment in Padua, about 45 miles away, and just kept him there. The general's wife was left behind, bound and gagged. Later, on Italian television, she pleaded for her husband's release.
Please, I request that everyone put their prayers into what has happened and the safety of Jim and the safety for anybody else that may be caught up in such a situation.
The manhunt was massive, involving thousands of Italian police and security agents. As the search went on, the Red Brigade taunted authorities with anonymous phone calls and propaganda communiques. One piece of propaganda said, the proletarian trial of the pig Dozier had begun. One telephone call sent police into the mountains in search of the general's body. But one batch of Red Brigade broadsides contained this picture, which kept hopes up. The general in front of a red banner holding a terrorist manifesto, haggard, eye blackened, but alive. For 40 days, the search went on throughout Italy. They didn't find the general, but they found a lot. Many terrorist suspects, including at least one Red Brigade leader, were picked up in the dragnet. The police found hundreds of heavy weapons and documents which revealed secret plans for future acts of terrorism.
Then earlier this week, police found the so-called People's Prison, a four-room apartment in Padua on the second floor above a supermarket. After 42 days of searching and waiting, General Dozier's rescue took only about 90 seconds. It may not rank with the Israeli raid at Entebbe or the freeing of the hostages at the Iranian embassy in London, but for Italian authorities, it was a major victory against radical groups that have terrorized Italy for a decade. Keith Miller now has details on the rescue and a report on the elite group of Italian police commandos who pulled it all off.
Police put a 48-hour stakeout on the apartment before the raid. According to sources, a night attack was ruled out as too risky. But by midday, the authorities were in place. A heavy pedestrian traffic on the street and nearby construction work concealed the movement of 20 heavily armed commandos. Supporting them, just out of eyesight, was a double ring of police wearing bulletproof vests. The authorities are keeping the exact logistics of the rescue effort secret. But this much is known. A 10-man commando unit shot off the lock, then kicked in the door to the apartment. They immediately immobilized a terrorist standing guard. Dashing through the 5-room apartment, the commandos discovered General Dozier in a camp tent where he was held captive. A terrorist in the room pointed a gun at Dozier, but he was quickly overpowered. 3 other terrorists were rounded up. The precision raid took just seconds. The elite squad found Dozier with his hands and feet chained. His eyes were taped shut and his ears plugged. According to police, when Dozier was freed, he said, "I have never seen anything so terrific in my life." Dozier owed his rescue to secret state agents who refused to be photographed after the raid. They are seen here wearing masks to conceal their identity. The hand-picked team was created 3 years ago to combat terrorism and are known as NOx, Central Operative Nucleus for Security. Many Italian police agencies were not even aware of their existence. The men are given paramilitary training, and the number of recruits and their base of operations remains a closely guarded secret. Keith Miller, NBC News, Verona.
That rescue touched off celebrations among the general's friends and relatives in Europe and in the United States. All in all, it was an unexpectedly happy ending to an ordeal that few thought would end so well. The first public glimpse of Dozier occurred at a police station in Padua. Safe and sound at police headquarters in Padua. I'm well, said the general in Italian. Sto bene. I'm okay. He was still wearing the blue warm-up suit that he had on when the commandos rescued him from the people's prison. Dozier looked ragged and disheveled, but he seemed to be in relatively good physical condition, and he seemed to be in good spirits as he left Padua. A car took him to the NATO base at Vicenza, not far away, for a complete medical checkup. Mrs. Dozier got the news in Frankfurt, Germany, where she was spending some time with her daughter Cheryl, a lieutenant in the Air Force.
First of all, we'd just like to say to all the people in the world who have offered their prayers, their love, and their care, we believe in the power of prayer, and in this time it has worked. We have talked to my husband and your father, and he sounds marvelous and in good health. And we're looking very much forward to meeting with him as soon as possible, which will be very soon. And I thank you one and all for everything. And please thank the world for all their love and their prayers. It did work, and he's home.
Tonight, General and Mrs. Dozier are together again at the NATO base hospital near Vicenza. Their 42-day ordeal over. In a moment, a look at terrorism and what's being done to combat it around the world.
Colds and flu can trigger bronchial asthma attacks. Be prepared with Primatene Mist. Primatene, the fastest type relief known for occasional attacks, restores free breathing in as fast as 15 seconds. Or to keep breathing freely for hours, Primatene tablets. In the lungs, Primatene opens clogged breathing tubes, relaxes bronchial spasms, restores free breathing. Primatene Mist, the fastest type relief known. Primatene tablets contains the asthma reliever doctors recommend most.
Look, arthritis minor pain flares up.
I really can't lift my left arm up very high without pain.
And you feel?
Really very angry.
Here are 3 pain relievers. Pick one.
The double buffered, 50% more pain reliever. It's arthritis pain formula.
It works for hours. Try it.
I feel better. The arthritis pain formula really works. It doesn't hurt when I lift it over my head.
Arthritis pain formula with 50% more pain reliever.
We'll open your eyes.
You know what I like about this RCA remote control? It's pure power.
Rocky, you're supposed to fix my bicycle.
I can turn the TV off or on.
Roger.
The volume down or up. And switch right to the channel I want.
Open your eyes to RCA's advanced 17-function remote system.
I'll tell Mom.
Unfortunately, it only works on the TV.
Save now at RCA's Reach for Remote sale at participating dealers through February 23rd.
Almost everywhere overseas these days, American diplomats and military personnel are concerned about terrorism. The threat of kidnapping or assassination is a growing problem. Last week, for example, in Paris, Lieutenant Colonel Charles Ray was assassinated in the street on his way to the American embassy. A single bullet, the mark of a professional killer who disappeared into the crowd of commuters. And today in Los Angeles, the Turkish consul general was assassinated on the streets of that city by 2 Armenian gunmen, or at least those are the people who claimed responsibility. In Washington, the State Department has had a special task force working on this problem of terrorism for some years now. Bob Kerr talked with the chairman of the interdepartmental group, that's Robert Sayre, about the significance of today's rescue of General Dozier.
This is viewed here at the State Department as a major setback for the Red Brigades. Why?
Well, I think it is. The Italians exerted tremendous pressure. The estimate we have is there were over 6,000 Italian policemen methodically going at the Red Brigades. The arrest level looks like about 50 of them were picked up in the last 6 weeks. So that it is a major setback for them. That's not to say they're out of action. That's not to say that they won't continue to do the kinds of things they've done before. But they have suffered a very severe blow.
Mr. Ambassador, was this an Italian terrorist operation limited to the Red Brigades, or was there a foreign connection?
All of the people involved in these incidents so far that the Italians have arrested in the last 6 weeks have been Italians, so far as we know. We don't note any foreigners involved in these operations.
Do you believe today's rescue will be a deterrent to future kidnap attempts by the terrorists in Italy?
Well, it may cause them to change their tactics.
In what way?
They may go back to the kinds of other things they've been doing, bombings, shootings, assassinations, and so on.
Reason being?
That they've paid a very heavy price for this particular kidnapping, and this tactic doesn't work too well.
Do you expect that General Dozier and his family will be coming back to Washington soon?
We do hope we'll get him here in Washington in a few days or maybe a week, so that we can review his case with him and get any information we can from him on how this happened and how these people operate.
President Reagan spoke with General Dozier by telephone soon after his release. Later, the president said the rescue was welcome news for all those who believe in the rule of law and the defense of our free institutions. The prayers of millions of Americans have been answered, according to the president. Well, standing by now at the White House is Judy Woodruff, and we're going to talk to her now about the role of the American government in this rescue operation. The Italian authorities have been getting most of the credit, Judy, but what was the role of the Americans?
Well, Tom, about a month ago, the Italian government asked for some help, and the Pentagon provided 6 American technicians. No one is saying here exactly what they did, but we assume that they are specialists in combating terrorism. We know that there were some civilians and some military personnel in the group. We do know that they were not in on the actual rescue, but that obviously they were in on the planning several weeks ago. The president was asked about Dozier tonight on his way to a private dinner party here in Washington at the home of newspaper columnist George Will. He was asked if there was anything new to report. Mr. Reagan mentioned that Dozier and his family were getting together, and when he was asked if he planned to see Dozier, the president said yes, if he had the opportunity, and he added that he thought Dozier was coming home, so perhaps we can look for him to pay a visit to the White House.
The fact of the matter is, Judy, that the United States and the Italian authorities were mostly lucky in this case, were they not? They don't really have much of a policy, despite all of these crack squads that they've organized around the world to deal with this kind of terrorism.
That's true. The president has made a point of saying that he will not deal with terrorists ever since, of course, as you remember, he came into office right at the very end of our long ordeal with the Iranian hostage situation. He said then we wouldn't deal with terrorists, and he has said that continues to be his policy. The president has been very lucky. This incident, aside from the delight, the relief everyone feels that the general's being released, it comes at a time when the president has been having a rather rough period, both because of the performance of the economy and some of the controversy over his new federalism proposal. As you noticed in the State of the Union speech this week, the president likes to pick out individual Americans who he can use as examples of personal courage, and I think that General Dozier you will see mentioned a few more times in the president's speeches.
If this had happened a week ago, he might have appeared at last night's State of the Union address, or the night before, that is. Thanks very much. Judy Woodruff is at the White House for us tonight. We'll be back in a moment with some joyful reaction from a member of the general's family who waited out his ordeal in this country.
A medicine cabinet somewhere in America.
What the world needs is really
from last night's beer
with Szechuan beef,
upset stomach, aching head.
Wish I could go back to bed.
Pop, pop, the Alka-Seltzer.
fizz-fizz and goodbye grief.
The world trusts Alka-Seltzer for gentle, fast relief.
Alka-Seltzer, America's home remedy.
Yuck! That's a big clog for a drain cleaner.
Try new improved Liquid Drano.
I know Liquid Drano's strong, but that's a big clog.
I said Drano's new with stronger Formula Oxide 3.
Stronger?
More clog-busting power than before. Just pour in the power. No leading liquid works better.
Think you're gonna be fine, thanks to Drano.
Sinks don't talk. Try new improved Liquid Drano with more clog-busting power.
My husband is full of surprises. Like the last time I wore this dress. I was ready for a nice, quiet dinner, and we ended up in a dance contest. That's when I discovered how good Ban Roll-On really is. It helped protect me and my clothes from wetness. They say Ban Roll-On is more effective than the leading sprays, and I believe it. Today's my birthday. I don't know what he's got planned, but with Ban, I'm ready for it.
Ban, for wetness protection you and your clothes can depend on.
General Dozier is one of two children. His sister, Joan Townsend, the mother of three, lives in Alvin, Texas, which is outside of Houston. Their father died when she was 12 and he was 14. They were raised by their mother. Well, today, after learning of her brother's rescue, she talked with correspondent Dan Molina.
Thinking back on your years growing up with your brother, what qualities did he have that might account for his ability to bear up as well as he apparently did so well during his captivity?
The quality of a sense of duty and devotion to cause and steadfastness of character. I mean, those would be rather general terms, but that's the type of thing that he was encouraged to do in all activities that he entered.
How so?
By our mother.
Oh, really?
Yes. We heard a lot about character building while we were growing up.
Mrs. Townsend, you're now more aware than most people that world terrorism is a very real thing, that there are people who place a very low value on human life. Is this realization, as all the excitement dies down, going to steal any happiness away from your life? Might this whole thing disappoint you in some significant way?
No, I see this as being, I don't look at that aspect of it because I think there are always people that are going to be seeking a sense of identity through this type of activity. It will be everywhere, I mean, any country, and that will be their sense of recognition. But I like to dwell on the fact that through this ordeal, we have had a lot of positive things happen. All the people that have reached out to say, I care, the expressions of empathy, and that's been the greatest thing that's happened throughout all this.
Isn't it nice to have a happy ending to one of these stories? When the sister or the wife is laughing and grateful instead of crying and grieving. Unfortunately, however, the rescue of General Dozier is the exception and not the rule. Terrorism was not erased without a raid on the apartment in Padua, although it may have been slowed in Italy. General Dozier is alive and well tonight, but unhappily, in too many parts of the world, so too is the mindless behavior that imperiled him in the first place. I'm Tom Brokaw. Good night for NBC News.
This special report has been produced by NBC News. Stay tuned for The Tonight Show immediately following these messages.